This is a project for the fantasy fighting game implementation. The purpose for this exercise was to create and implement the logic from the UML and flowchart design from the last exercise into an actual code. In this video, I'm going to run you through the logic of the game and discuss specific methods I used to completing the game. Let's run the program. The program begins by giving the user 4 choices: player, store, arena, and exit. Let me run you through all 4 choices one by one. Let's begin with the first choice, player. Here, the users are met with another menu, the player menu, where they are given 5 more choices to choose from: save, load, show inventory, show stats, and main menu. Entering the first choice, the program asks us the file name, and the information of both players are saved into an external file. Similarly, load will ask for the file name to load the data into the program. Show inventory shows the player's inventory, and finally show stats displays the amount of games won for both players. Now that we got that covered, let's get into the actual game by continuing to the store. The store begins by outputting 21 items, each with a specific ID, name, price, specialty, and required stamina. The program begins by displaying the amount of gold the first player has, followed by a prompt of which item to buy. Once he enters the ID corresponding with the item, the program displays the item bought and then displays how much gold he has left. Now it is player 2's turn, and after he chooses an item, the program outputs which item he bought and then lets him know how much he has left. After the 2 players have bought one item, they are left with a choice to buy more items or to get out of the store. The 2 players choose to buy more items a few more times before actually going out of the store. Now we arrive at the arena, where the program prompts the 2 players to choose 3 equipment from their inventory to use in the battle. To leave a slot empty, they are to enter 0. Player 1 and Player 2 enters their 3 items to fight, and their fight inventory are displayed. Now the battle has begun. Both players' fighting attributes, health, strength, and stamina, are displayed, followed by player 1's fight inventory and a prompt of which item to use for his turn. Once he chose his item, the program outputted how the player chose to attack, in this case to directly attack the other player rather than drinking a potion or putting on armor, and then outputted how the other player was impacted, in this case by losing health. It shows both players' updated attributes, and then the turn of the battle is given to the other player. This keeps going until either player loses all his health or does not have enough stamina to use for an item. Here, player 1 won, and the program then goes to the main menu. The fourth option is simply to exit the game. Before the video ends, I want to explain to you some practices I used for creating my game. While designing my battle function, I was debating whether to create an attack function inside of the player class or the arena class. I thought back at a research project I did about object-oriented best practices and remembered the Liskov substitution principle, which stated that entities should be based off behavior rather than structure. Because the attack behavior is one done by the player, I decided to put it in the player class. I used this practice throughout my entire code. Another example would be in the store when the player desired to buy an item. I created a buy item function in the player class, which would call the sell item function from the store. This function removed the item from the store and returned the specific item so that the buy item function could use what it returned and add it to the inventory of the player. In my store, I outputted every item in the store with their ID, name, price, specialty, and required stamina. However, because there are 3 types of items, each with their distinct specialty, I had to output something different for each of their specialty. Notice that for some I displayed their strength, for others their health, and for the rest, gain. Rather than creating a virtual function to be overridden for every type, which would seem like an ideal method to do, I simply created an additional attribute inside every class type. For the weapon, I created strength, for the armor, I created health, and for the potion, I created gain. In this way, I could just output the corresponding attribute when outputting these weapons in the store. Thank you for watching.